Hey friends, welcome back to the channel and welcome back to week 14 of the Cooldown Catch-Up, a weekly catch-up of what went down last week in training. Last episode, I opened up the floor to ask all of you to ask me any questions that you may have had for me. In this intro, I'm going to take the time to answer some of those questions so you guys can learn a little bit more about me. The first question comes from Adam Brazen, and he asked, now that you're getting fully into the Ultra Spirit, what do you see as your ultimate race? Something like the Hard Rock or Leadville 100? Or do you think you'll push it past those distances with something like the Moab 240 eventually? I think truly my dream race would be the Hard Rock 100. With over 33,000 feet of gain and reaching over 14,000 feet on Handy's Peak and running around the San Juan Mountains, my favorite place in Colorado, this is kind of my dream setting and challenge location. However, this is probably quite a pipe dream. Not only would I have to run a qualifying race, I'd also be among 3,000 entrants for 140-ish spots. And there's a lot of stipulations that help different racers and entrants that I would need to build up those points to get in. As for pushing past 100 miles, I'm not quite sure yet. While something like the Moab 240 is intriguing, and also the fact of suffering for over a few days also is quite intriguing in a weird way, I'd like to try to get that 100-mile distance under my belt, or belt buckle, before I made that decision. The next set of questions comes from my buddy Jacob Banks, and he had a few of them for me. The first one was, if you could be any flavor of ice cream, what flavor would you be and why? And that's simple, Rocky Road, and only for the name, because my favorite place in this world is being on the trails and in the mountains, right on that rocky road. His second question is, are you scared that if you ran flat terrain, you'd be too fast for your own good? This is a little bit of an inside joke, as I always seem to try to find runs that have a stupid amount of elevation gain, and even when I run on the treadmill, I always seem to find myself putting it at an incline and doing hill workouts on that thing as well. I think that the answer is, if I started to run fast and flat, I'd probably feel obligated to do some sort of road marathon or half marathon, and I really have no interest in doing any pavement runs. His next question is, who is your favorite running partner and why is it me? I think this question is trying to bait me in a little bit.
I plead the fifth.
So I'm gonna give the diplomatic answer. But honestly, it's just spending time on the trails with all of my friends. It's always great to spend time on the trails and see your friends push themselves and achieve their goals. So in short, it's you, Jacob. His next question is a really good one, and he asked, how do you push through when running feels uncomfortable? For me, running through discomfort comes down to a couple things. I think a lot of the times it's really hard to feel like you're losing fitness or you just aren't getting better. When these thoughts pop into my head, I try to rationalize why that run might not be feeling good. Did I have some drinks the night before? Did I eat like crap? Did I sleep like crap? I always try to find a reason why that run isn't feeling that great. I once heard this philosophy about when you're chasing goals, and that is that 1/3 of the time you're gonna feel really good, 1/3 of the time you're gonna feel okay, and 1/3 of the time you're not gonna feel great. And that's okay. As long as you fall into that ratio in some sort, everything is fine. His last question is another good one, and he says, what is the hardest part of running for you and how do you cope with it? I think the biggest thing for me is comparison. When I see my friends on Strava or out crushing and I'm injured or I'm just not in a good part of my training block, I start to get a little bit depressed about how my fitness is going. But the biggest thing I try to remember, and I try to remind all of you, is that comparison is the thief of joy. Rather than being jealous and envious of your friends and others going out and crushing it, try to be happy for them and use that as motivation and inspiration. The next set of questions comes from Chad Higgins over at See Chad Run. Has his own YouTube channel, go check it out. But his first question was, what is your favorite thing to eat during and after a long run? I'd have to say during a run, I am a sucker for gummies and candies, so I always manage to have some sort of candy in my pocket so that I can fuel up during the run, and it also changes the kind of monotonous taste of the gels that you tend to be consuming on these runs. As for after a run, it's pizza, and a big pizza at that. A large buffalo chicken pizza, all for myself. His next question is a great and simple one. Why do you run? Running for me has become a way to explore the outdoors and the mountains in an efficient way. I absolutely love the feeling of moving efficiently and fast through the mountains. What may take 3 or 4 hours to hike, I can take half that amount of time if I'm running and moving efficiently. And his last question is, what is your favorite YouTube channel? And admittedly, I subscribe to a lot of YouTube channels, and I always try to watch every single video that every one of the channels I subscribe to put out, including yours, Chad. But since we're talking about running, I'd have to say my favorite channel in this realm is Jeff Peltier's. I think his storytelling in the realm of trail running is absolutely outstanding, and I actually shaped my Cool Down Catch-Up series after his series called The Training Diaries. My next question comes from my lovely girlfriend, Renee, and she asked, what would be your advice for people just moving to Colorado and wanting to start trail running? I think the issue Renee is trying to address is running at altitude and running with a lot of elevation. And it's simple, start slow. Running at altitude, and especially with elevation gain, it's hard. I only started running a year and a half ago, and now I go out for 20-mile runs in the mountains on a pretty regular basis. It takes time, but it will come. The beauty of trail running is it's acceptable to walk. Dial back that pace to a pace that feels comfortable for you on the uphills. If you find a hill that you're struggling at running at, dial back that pace and start hiking. And soon enough, you'll find that that same hill that you needed to hike on a few weeks ago, you're able to run some of those segments. At one point, you'll find that that hiking pace will start to be speeding up and it will become a run. Start slow, don't be discouraged when you need to slow down and start hiking, and just keep moving forward. The last question comes from lovely Sandy Venman, and she asked, why do you do what you do? And I could go on and on and on about this, but it's simple. I'm a very passionate person when it comes to my hobbies I love and the locations that I'm able and grateful to do them in. For me, being in the mountains, pushing myself doing the things I love with the people I love, bring me the most happiness in this life. So that's why I do what I do. And that's it for the questions. Thank you again for everyone who commented a question for me. And if you have any others in the future, please feel free to put them out and I will address them when I have an opportunity. By the time this video comes out, I'll be nearly a week and a half away from the Wausau Limitless Race starting on May 3rd. So the next few weeks may look a little bit different with the volume of running, as I started to cut back and started to taper at the end of this last week. I've already made all of the deposits in the fitness bank I can at this point, and I wanted to give time for my muscles, my tweaks, and my mind to rest a little bit and get ready for that race. So let's get to it. The cool down catch-up starts right now. Monday, after taking a day off after the 10-hour loop practice day, I decided to go out and do a little hill and speed combo work.
We're out here on Monday for stupid workout. Hill workout, also speed. Hill workout is run uphill as fast as you can, 1 minute, then 2 minutes hiking recovery, trying to get your heart rate back down, and then again. And I'm doing 10 intervals of that. So 30 minutes total uphill for this hill section of the workout.
I was trying to approach the hard uphill workout at about an 8 or 9 RPE, or rate of perceived exertion. Since the interval time was a little bit shorter, I tried to really push my pace on that interval. I have never puked during a workout, but this was definitely one I came close to. I really liked trying to implement my recovery time while still walking and moving uphill, because in a race, you just need to keep moving forward. So it's helpful to try to recover while still moving uphill. During the 2-minute uphill recovery, I would try to drop the pace so that my heart rate would drop down below 150, and then I would start pushing the hiking pace to kind of maintain it right around there. Once I got down to the bottom of the road, I switched into my road shoes and did my speed workout.
All right, so just got done with the hill workout, and now I've got speed workout, which is 10 by 12 seconds fast, 1 minute recovery, and then a cool down to get me to 7 miles if I'm not there yet. So I'm just switching into my road shoes because I'm going to do my speed work on the road and don't really want to be doing those in the trail.
And this was really great to try to do some speed work on some tired legs from the hill workout I had just got done with. Tuesday, I met my buddies Alex and Adam to do a 6-mile run around Golden. We kept a pretty good pace, but the pounding on the pavement actually ended up irritating that leg that has been bothering me. Wednesday, I had the itch to get some elevation gain with not a lot of miles. So I went to the go-to for steep gain in the Denver Metro Front Range area, Mount Morrison. Mount Morrison is one of the most prominent peaks in the Front Range, right behind Red Rocks. With nearly 2,000 feet of gain in 1.7 miles, it is a steep slog. It even has a little bit of fun scrambling at the top. My initial plan was to try to do 3 laps up and down, conserving my energy to allow me to get all 3 of those done. However, when I got to the trailhead, there was a gentleman a little bit ahead of me that was moving at a really efficient pace. And I guess that my friendly competitiveness kicked in and I started making my way up fast, but efficient. To locals who frequent Mount Morrison, there's kind of this arbitrary goal of doing round trip in sub 1 hour, something I've actually never really gone for. I had no real intention to go for sub hour, but as I was getting closer to the summit, I started to think that it might be possible. I managed to do the uphill in 39 minutes and 3 seconds, which means if I pushed a really hard downhill, I could possibly get that sub hour. I stashed my poles and started making my way down the techie downhill. The gentleman who I passed on the way up always managed to be about 30 yards behind me, which kept me pushing on that uphill. But on the downhill, he ended up flying past me. After pounding the quads for a 1.7 mile, 2,000 foot descent, I managed to get through the gate at 58 minutes and 44 seconds, being my first time going sub 1 hour on Mount Morrison. I'm pretty stoked to have gotten this, as this was not my plan for the day. So at this point, I figured 3 laps was probably out of the question, but I did go up for a second lap, not as fast, but trying to still move fast and efficiently.
It's Wednesday. I'm out here on Mount Morrison and doing multiple laps. I actually just got done, went sub hour, which is huge for me. Really stoked on that. I didn't film anything because I was cooking and redlining the whole time, but gonna go up for a lap 2, a lot slower this time, but try to keep the pace going. Top of Mount Morrison, lap 2. This lap was probably about 5-6 minutes slower than the first one, but I wasn't trying to push it super hard on the second lap. Stoked on that first lap PR on here. Kind of didn't have the intentions to do that, but there was another gentleman that was kind of pushing it, and it kind of got friendly competitiveness between the two of us. We talked back down in the car. And I'm pretty stoked. I think it was like sub 40 up, and then, you know, whatever, 20 down. Wait, 10 down. All right, got the poles stashed, and now I am heading down after lap 2 down Mount Morrison. This trail is super fun, super techy, so you really gotta watch your step. But it's a fun one to push downhill, but not too fast so I don't break myself.
Mount Morrison is a great local training ground to work on your uphill speed hiking efficiency and get a lot of gain in a short distance. Thursday through Saturday, I did not run and I took time to recover. The leg had started bothering me after the road run and my day on Mount Morrison. And that was my week. With the leg acting up and getting close to race day, I figured it was not worth agitating and hurting that more, so I took only 3 days of running this week. I only managed to get 3 runs in, bringing my week totals to 20.2 miles, 4 hours and 7 minutes, and 5,358 feet of gain. The next 2 weeks I'm approaching as taper weeks, so the running mileage will be down, but I do plan to get out in the mountains for some time on feet. Both the weather and the snow conditions are shaping up for the perfect springtime climb conditions. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions. I truly appreciate it. And if you have any further ones, feel free to drop them in the comments below and I'll address them in a coming episode. Once again, thank you for tuning in and sticking around. Give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And always remember, adventure awaits. You're gonna be just keeping trying to move forward.